Alright, hello citizens of the Nigelverse. It's Nigel here once again, and this is going to be another wrestling review. So, normally I don't do reviews like this of full shows that aren't pay-per-views, but because Saturday was the debut episode of AEW Collision, I figured why not see off the maiden voyage of AEW Collision. So, we are, of course, going to be looking at AEW Collision's debut episode from this past Saturday. As always, I'm not professional wrestling reviewer or analyst, just a man who enjoys a good time, which I had an okay time with the show. Uh, oh, Seeing some good, some not as good, and a little bit of weird on the show, which we'll get to. But without further ado, let's get right into it. But a couple preliminaries before we begin. For starters, this show, finding this first episode was a pain to find. So, what actually happened was because I had to work Saturday night, I ended up actually missing the whole show and everything. I thought about watching just the second hour of it and then going back to watch the replay, but I figured, I'll just watch it. I'll just watch the whole thing afterwards. But yeah, it was a pain to find the entire episode. For some reason, isn't not even like the episode 1 replay is on Hulu. It's only showing the upcoming episode 2 of Collision. And I wasn't able to find episode 1 on there. So it's not on Hulu, at least not yet. It's not archived on Hulu just yet. I tried finding it on YouTube. It was only broke up into segments. And I even tried looking in the TNT app, but I would have had to sign in with like my network provider and everything. So I wasn't going through all that hassle. But thankfully, Daily Motion came in to save the day. So Daily Motion is a website where a lot of videos are kind of archived, and I think it's primarily for wrestling related content. And although it could have other videos on there, but I know wrestling related content is what I mainly found when I looked on Daily Motion before, because that's how I watched Brock Lesnar versus Big Show, which I reviewed last week. So if you haven't already, go check out that review. But thankfully, they came in clutch. They had the whole episode archived. The only downsides was that there was some ads, which same with YouTube, but also it did freeze once or twice. But at least I was able to watch the whole show. So hashtag thank you Dailymotion. I'll remember hopefully to put the hashtags. Put that hashtag in the description. Hashtag thank you Dailymotion. But the other thing to keep in mind is the presentation of the show. The stage itself the stage itself and everything, and how the show looks obviously different colors and everything to differentiate from the other shows, but otherwise not really a whole lot different from Dynamite and Rampage. Like nothing really new they've done with the stage, but they did have the different color schemes and the different logos and stuff for Collision and but also they got Elton John to do the opening theme song for AEW Collision. So we'll look up the exact song name, but having Elton John, I think, and yep, Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting, which yes it is, and I think it's like the perfect opening theme song, because it's definitely almost upbeat, but get you ready for a fight and everything, so I think that was a really awesome choice. Plus, Elton John is the GOAT, of course, but also the announce team. So for the majority of the show, it was Kevin Kelly and Nigel McGuinness. It's, of course, Nigel McGuinness, former Ring of Honor World Champion, if I'm not mistaken, was part of WWE for a little while, mainly on like the NXT UK brand before he got released last year, I think. And now he's going to be doing the commentary for Collision here. And of course, Kevin Kelly, a lot of people know him for his time way back when in the WWE. Sadly, that was kind of before my time before I really start watching him. So I was mostly unfamiliar with him. But the only reason I really remember him is because there's compilations of pretty much The Rock bullying him, as well as like the other announcers like Jonathan Coachman, but mainly him. Yeah, so Kevin Kelly and Nigel McGuinness, and then Jim Ross, good old JR, showed up for the main event, and sadly Jim Ross didn't do the best, but there's a reason for that. His voice was kind of shot. He sounded really out of it, but the reason for that is he suffered actually a nasty fall the day of the event. He posted about it on Twitter that he suffered a fall the day of the event, a really bad fall before he flew out to Chicago for the event. And so props to him for even sticking through that to call the action anyway. But he then announced he's going to take some time off. So Jim Ross, wishing you a speedy recovery. But without further ado, let's get into the show proper. Starting with a promo segment from CM Punk, which of course makes a lot of sense. It's AEW Collision. This debut episode, at least, is in Chicago. So having CM Punk there, showing up for the first time in a while on AEW TV. I think a very smart move, getting him out of the way right away. Hate to get the huge pop right off the bat. I think that was a really, really smart move. And he cuts a fiery promo the way only he can, somewhat alluding to what happened with, of course, the Elite, that situation. He should more specifically the one Bill Phil, the only real thing of worth in a world of counterfeit bucks. I wonder who he was alluding to, but so I guess either he just wanted to get that off his chest, or it might lead to an angle with that. But also another angle that's starting up is CM Punk. Apparently he had it in a red bag that he took with him, and he had the AEW World Championship. So I imagine him and MJF are going to do the whole classic "I'm the real champion" feud, which is a feud we've seen before, especially in WWE. Sami Zayn did it with the Intercontinental Championship. Shawn Michaels did it with the Intercontinental Championship, and even CM Punk himself did it with the WWE Championship when he took it as he was leaving out at Money in the Bank 2011, and then came back with John Cena and did the whole champion versus champion, who's the real champion angle. Well, it's something they love to revisit, and I think that might have been done on purpose for that, plus CM Punk's suspension / injury. But so I imagine CM Punk, even though he's going to have a main focus on Collision, I imagine will also feud with MJF at some point over who the real AEW World Champion is. And yeah, so how interesting how they're setting up that feud. But now we get into the first match proper, which is actually for the AEW TNT Championship, as Wardlow defended against Luchasaurus. And Luchasaurus actually captured the TNT Championship from Wardlow. A bit surprising. And, the match was okay. The main thing was Christian Cage kept cheating on Luchasaurus' behalf to allow Luchasaurus to capture the championship, and ultimately Christian Cage hit Wardlow with a piece of the camera for Luchasaurus to capture the TNT Championship. But then in the end celebration, Christian Cage holding up the title like he won it, but really Luchasaurus won it, and mostly won it because Christian Cage couldn't win it. Of course, Christian Cage faced Wardlow at Double or Nothing about a month or so ago, almost a month ago, a few weeks ago I should probably say, which if you haven't already, go check out that review. But Cage picking up, not picking up the win or the TNT Championship there, but Luchasaurus wins the title here, or so now he's the new champion. I get it. You want to have a championship change to kick off this brand new show you're debuting and everything, and I get it, but at the same time, it almost kind of came out of left field. But I wonder if the dynamic will shift between Luchasaurus and Christian Cage as a result of this. and see what happens. But I will also say AEW, if you're going to pop the TNT Championship on Luchasaurus like you did here, or just let Luchasaurus have it. Don't pop it immediately back on Wardlow. Like, if Wardlow gets the title back right away from Luchasaurus, I'm gonna be he upset and annoyed, because what's the point of taking it off Wardlow in the first place? He's have Luchasaurus win it and then actually have him hold on to it for a while, unless you're gonna pop it on Christian Cage. But really, I think Luchasaurus should hold on to it for a little bit. It brings some of the prestige back for the TNT Championship. But this is the problem a lot of people are having with the TNT Championship, is that it's bobbing around willy-nilly between people. Well, granted, WWE, they're no saints either when it comes to that. That's happened for a little bit, but now they're starting to kind of get it down packed, more specifically with the Intercontinental Championship. The United States Championship could still use a little bit of work. But this whole popping the title from this guy to this guy to this guy, then back to this guy, and then back to this guy, and now this guy, like that really takes a lot away from the TNT Championship. Now, obviously, nothing wrong with title changes, but having them just to go back to the guy almost immediately. Now, if it's one thing if Luchasaurus held on to it for like a month or two and then Wardlow won it back, but if Wardlow wins it back relatively quickly, and I have a sick feeling he might, it's going to be really annoying. But for now, congratulations to the new TNT champion, Luchasaurus. And I saw a post on Twitter from Jungle Boy somewhat congratulating Luchasaurus. So, potential feud between those two. But yeah, let Luchasaurus hold on to it for a little while. Let somebody hold on to it for a little while. Look, nothing against Wardlow, but why can't someone else hold on to it for a little bit? Why does it have to go back to Wardlow? If it's just going to go back to Wardlow, if it's going to go back to Wardlow right away, then what's the point of taking it off of him in the first place? But nevertheless, the next match was Buddy Matthews versus Andrade El Idolo. And Andrade actually getting the win over Buddy Matthews here, which honestly, and of course, like all these reviews, I'm going to talk about the best and I guess worst or least interesting matches of the night. This one I think already is like the best match of the night. Both these guys, which I believe they faced off before in WWE when they were both in WWE, but both these guys worked really well against each other. Andrade El Idolo, of course, is back and everything. And there was a moment where things kind of slowed down. They were being checked up on by the doctors. Thankfully, they saved that segment for while Collision was in picture-in-picture, but there was a moment where it was slowed down for a little bit, but then right back into it. Both guys worked really well, and then potential feud between Andrade El Idolo and the House of Black. Which Andrade is still in his faction. I forget the exact name of it, and I already know I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of it. I forget the exact pronunciation of it, but so setting up a potential match between those two. It was really solid match. But then next up was Miro versus Tony Nese, which this one almost kind of a squash match, although Tony Nese did get some offense in, so it wasn't a total squash, but otherwise Miro getting the win and looking really solid in his return as well. So returns back to back, which was really nice, and hopefully this leads to a big push and big things for Miro going forward. And I guess Miro is face now. I know he kind of teased at it, flirted with it when he teamed with Sting and Darby Allin against the House of Black. But now I guess Miro is face, which is interesting to say the least. He's next up, and I'm probably going to talk about some of the stuff in between. I probably should mention some of the in between stuff. More specifically, the Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks are both now being in the Owen Hart Memorial Cup tournament in for this year, or so I wonder if they'll have them face off against each other, and of course the Acclaimed doing something for Father's Day, getting some time to shine, and then the four-way scissor with them and Tony Schiavone was kind of cool and kind of funny. But otherwise, I'm mainly talking about the matches and stuff. About such as the Outcast versus Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale. This match was okay, but it could have been better. But Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale got the win, which was nice, and they got it off of an inadvertent spray spot where Saraya was going to spray Sky Blue, but actually got Ruby Soho. So now I guess they're gonna continue that feud, or Sky Blue is gonna be a part of the AEW Originals, was going against the Outcast, especially because Sky Blue recently had at the AEW Women's Championship match against Toni Storm. Toni Storm defended the title against Sky Blue. But so there's that match. And then finally, we move on to the main event, and as CMFTR, which is CM Punk and FTR, I almost call him Scott Dawson, Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, battled Samoa Joe and Bullet Club Gold's Jay White and Juice Robinson. Very solid match. The crowd was definitely into it. Majorly behind CM Punk. We got a moment between Punk and CM Punk and Samoa Joe. FTR and Bullet Club Gold did their thing and continuing their feud they have going on. And CM Punk and FTR are getting the win, which was pretty cool. So that's the show, and a very smart move, of course, to end it off with CM Punk and FTR, especially with this being in Chicago. But that is the debut episode of AEW Collision, and not a bad first start for Collision. If I had to pick the strongest and weakest matches of the night, the strongest I'd probably go. The strongest I'd definitely go with Buddy Matthews and Andrade El Idolo. And probably CMFTR versus Samoa Joe and Bullet Club Gold, just for the crowd factor. But the weakest, I might have to go with either the women's match or the TNT title match. But otherwise, not a bad first episode for Collision. So I imagine, based on the presentation and everything, and based off how I was kind of being presented as people who don't really have a place on the roster to be on this show, I imagine this is going to be AEW's equivalent to WWE's SmackDown, perhaps, with Rampage kind of being the realm in between. So of course, Dynamite kind of like Raw, like the main flagship show. Collision being like SmackDown, and Rampage being kind of like main event before main event got turned into an absolute joke. But so that was the debut episode of AEW Collision, and like I said, not a bad show. Not a bad maiden voyage. But nevertheless, that's going to do it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video so you can see as soon as it drops. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on the debut episode. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? And did you like and dislike my review? Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.